Following our successful server virtualization tutorial in January, we thought it would be good to update those who could not make it with some of the key information and points from the day. The following summary, we hope, will give you a good idea of what you missed on the day and prompt you to find out more. The purpose of the days was to educate, so it was not an in-depth technical session, but there were plenty of acronyms. It could be argued that virtualization is just a throwback to the client-server days of the 1980s, and this is partly true. However, more importantly, the development of the computer, and particularly the increased processing power of chips and the multiprocessor, meant that a lot of servers deployed in businesses were not operating close to capacity. In fact, most were operating at around 10% utilisation. This was costly and inefficient. The development of virtualization over the last 20 years has allowed companies to maximise the use of their server hardware and computer resources to deliver a number of business benefits and cost reductions that include increased infrastructure utilisation, less servers to do more work, decreased running costs, an example being air conditioning, physical space, power usage, resources, IT team, disaster recovery solutions, and a failover environment, all of which saves money. Historically, servers were set up to run a single application such as email, accounts or SQL server, and as new applications were added into the business, a new server would be added. The consequence of this 1-to-1 ratio was the high number of servers required in business that were costly to maintain in hardware maintenance and expensive to manage the people. The concept of virtualization allows multiple applications to be run on a single server. The virtualized world allows you to move the hardware utilization of each server from around 8 to 10% up to around 80%, driving efficiency for the business. A virtual server operates in a way that uses a hypervisor that sits between the physical hardware, RAM, disk space, and device drivers on the server and the applications themselves. This clever piece of software manages the hardware and the information that the application you are going to run needs to make the hardware work. The hypervisor allows different solution environments, such as Linux and Windows, to sit side by side on the one server, yet still run as if they were on their own server. Other key components that make up a virtual server and are critical to virtualized environments' operational success are the memory or RAM, processors, the pieces that do the work, and the storage, how and where you are going to store the programs and data. Finally, you will need some management software to sit across all of this so you know exactly what's happening with the virtualized environment. We discussed the volume and value of benefits from virtualization. These will differ from business to business. However, typically we've found that benefits fall into some key areas. These are hardware. Less servers are required, so less capital costs of purchase and ongoing maintenance costs. Cooling. Less equipment means that less cooling is required in your comms room, which takes less power, and there's also potential reduction in capacity and support. Space. You will not need as much space to house all the equipment in the comms area, which could allow redeployment of the area for other tasks. IT support. Reductions in the number and complexity of servers reduces the amount of time and number of IT staff required to support the environment. If the solution is centralized, you could also reduce IT staff on remote sites. Other benefits that a virtualized environment give include disaster recovery through the ability to snapshot machines and bring them up quickly on different hardware at different locations. Faulty hardware can be replaced while the machine continues to function, which provides a reduction in the downtime to the users. The virtualized environment also allows you to set up test environments, which are an identical image of the live environment for deploying upgrades and testing changes to applications, which makes life so much easier for all business users. There was considerable discussion on what can and cannot be saved and the benefits. However, we work closely with our customers to understand this area, as it's key to why a business should move to virtualization. Even though there are a number of reasons to move to virtualization, there are some situations where you should not. Typically, these are hardware related when the hardware is older or new and not supported. Vendor-specific hardware and software in some instances may not be suited or be able to be virtualized. Another good reason not to virtualize is where the application requires high CPU usage and/or disk utilization, and in these circumstances, a standalone server is a more appropriate option. Other key features of virtual servers other than the multiple guests on one box include the ability to move live environments around, which means you do not have to take the systems down to do it, so there's less impact on users. High availability, automatic failover. If a part fails, the machine will keep working while it's replaced, which results in less impact on the business. Resource scheduling and management allows you to manage guests between servers to load balance and get the best performance from your environment. You can also manage other resources, including storage, through this approach. A little warning. It should be noted that when buying your virtualization software, that care is taken to understand what is and isn't in the costs and the costs of additional functionality. Typically, a virtualized environment will use central storage, as this means it's available to any application or server as and when required. In smaller environments, you can have a local storage on the server. However, if the server fails totally, then you lose access to your data. Storage area networks and network-attached storage are more advanced storage solutions. These sit outside the virtualized server environment, meaning the data is separate to the applications, which makes the data more readily available. Key to the success of an IT solution is the speed of response from the data. This is measured on inputs and outputs, or the speed you get data to work with and put it back when you are finished. Hard disks have evolved, and now faster and faster disks are available, so it's important when you are deciding on the storage you use to also take careful consideration on the disk types. Although be careful, some are very expensive. The final area in storage is RAID. This functionality allows blocks of data to be written across a number of disks in a storage environment to improve resilience if a disk fails. There are differing types of RAID, which give a higher or lower resilience, but impacts disk storage capacity, so please be careful on the calculations with this. VMware is seen as the market leader in virtualized system software. It has been technically stronger than competitors. However, Microsoft is closing in quickly, and areas of functionality are free with Microsoft, which are not with VMware. It's a decision that you need to make on your business preferences. We are partners in both products. However, in most new circumstances, we would opt for the Microsoft HyperV environment, as overall it's easier to manage and more cost-effective from a license perspective. Some key points of the HyperV product set are: it is the Microsoft's rival to VMware and gaining ground quickly. It does need either Server 2008 or Server 2012, although there is a free version available. Licensing is based on a per-socket basis, and you need to be careful with licensing, although licensing and scalability is easier in Microsoft environment. System Center, which is used as an overall management suite, is very powerful and does allow you to manage both Hyper-V and VMware environments. Systems Management Center gives you total control of the virtual environment with functionality including the deployment of software and updates with Configuration Manager, monitor and optimize the environment with Operations Manager, backup and disaster recovery is controlled with Data Protection Manager, virtualization management is delivered with Virtual Machine Manager, security and anti-malware defense is covered with Endpoint Protection, automation is available with Runbook across servers and services with Orchestrator. Service Manage can deliver the incident ticketing and problem management for your environment, and it will provision workloads in both private and public clouds with App Controller. Some of the key features of Hyper-V include, but are not limited to, run up to 32 processors, 1 TB of RAM for guests. There is capacity for 64 TB per virtual disk. Live migration with or without shared storage. Live migration using SMB share. Stored migration is available. Failover is standard. Virtual machine replication, asynchronous is included. Improved virtual networking, virtual switches. Hyper-V 2012 Guest Access OS all included. It's important that you have a clear, well-documented backup strategy and test it works. Don't wait until something fails, it may be too late. There are various backup solutions on the market. We use Veeam and Aperture. The key is getting one that delivers what you want to do. We are doing more multiple target backups with information going off-site for disaster recovery purposes, as well as on-premise for general file recovery cover. Just to recap on some key points on the technology when you are sizing the solution. Obviously, plenty of RAM configured for speed and good processors, e.g. dual quad-core 6 or 8. Remember, VMware, Microsoft, and some associated products are licensed per physical processor. Multiple network interface cards, including the sizing spare capacity for disaster recovery and maintenance. Storage must be fast enough or must have space for snapshots and test environments. As important as the solution is the deployment. Careful planning is required, as any decisions made in the planning tend to be difficult to change if required through the implementation. Some areas to consider, but this is not conclusive, include infrastructure and comms room. Is there sufficient rack space, power, etc. available? Switching and routing solutions. What capacity and how many do I need? Make sure you allow for resilience. Storage requirements, current and future. How much data and how often? Application requirements. A full audit of what you have and allow capacity for growth. User requirements. How many now and in the future? Backup solution. Where, what and how often? Answer these questions and it will be a big step in the right direction. Disaster recovery requirements. What does the business need? Fire? Flood? On-premise? In the cloud? What is the business strategy? Payment options. Is this a capital purchase or do you want to lease the solutions? This is an extremely vast subject. We cannot do it justice in half a day. However, points to remember are: virtualization will save you money and enhance your operations. Build good resilience and backup into your solution. Size, capacity and performance the solution properly and upfront. Engage with an independent partner who can cut through the manufacturer's sales pitch and advise the right solution for you. That's us. Thank you for your time and please give us a call or book a free, no obligation consultation.